The Succession Scotland Act 2016, which passed the Royal Assent last Thursday on the 3rd of March, is the first of two substantive pieces of legislation which the Scottish Government have in their programme. It is an act which deals with technical aspects of the law of succession, that is to say wills, survivorship, and also the administration of estates. So, for example, it deals with the question of rectification of wills, which it introduces for the first time. Secondly, it deals with the question of the interpretation of certain legacies. It deals with the question of whether one person survives the other person, and it also deals with the question, not an important question, of bonds of cation. And so far as that important practical point is concerned, it abolishes bonds of cation for estates up to £36,000. And so far as estates over that limit is concerned, it allows the Scottish Government to make regulations abolishing bonds of cation for those estates also. And given the situation in the marketplace, it's anticipated that may be exercised in the not too distant future. These are exciting times for succession law in Scotland, because for the first time in over 50 years we have a Succession Act. This is just hot off the press, having passed the Royal Assent on the 3rd of March 2016. This Act can be described as the hors d'oeuvre to the main course, the main course being the substantive reform of intestate succession law. First and foremost, there is the issue of bonds of cation for executors dative. The Act abolishes the need for bonds of cation for small estates up to £36,000. It also allows the Scottish Government to make regulations abolishing bonds of cation for all estates regardless of their size. And this is something that practitioners must look out for, because it's anticipated that this could happen in the near future. Secondly, it introduces the rectification of wills which do not express accurately the intention of the testator. The rectification provisions are restricted to wills which are drafted on the instruction of others. So this is particularly relevant to practitioners and places a premium on letters of instruction and file notes of instruction and matters of that kind, on the basis of which wills are drafted, since these may allow the rectification of subsequent mistakes. Moving on to legacies within wills, Scots law has been bedevilled over many years by the Conditio Si Institutus, under which grandchildren inherit in precedence to conditional substitutionary legatees. Indeed, it's not restricted to grandchildren. The rules are complex. They've now been simplified and codified and clarified in the Act, and that's something that, if one looks at any legacy to a child, one should look at where the child has predeceased the testator. Turning on to survivance, the rules related to common calamities were changed in 1964. They've now been changed again to, in effect, restore the previous law, which is to the effect that if it's unclear whether one person survived the other, then it is deemed that neither survived the other. And indeed, this brings the law in line with the position for inheritance tax, among other things. So here we have a hors d'oeuvre which should be fully sampled, and I recommend it to practitioners.
Bye.